can stay in here if you would be quiet and listen.
I will listen.
Okay. How's it going? It's Sikander here. Just wanted to say hello. We're getting started with our lecture here in just the next few minutes. So thanks for tuning in. If you're there, watch. And if you're not there, you can watch it later. All right. We'll be back in a second.
Do you?
These are called angel tuners. Watch this. Whoa. Shaky, shaky, shaky.
Anaya. Bye, Anaya. I can sit it.
You guys are doing good.
James, come in here, okay? Anaya, come on.
Whatever you can say, but you have to behave. See how he talks back? That's enough. You sit right there by the fire and relax. Well, I have a couple of goodies here. This is for our musical portion. And this is our opening invocation and closing prayer video. Yep.
The weed trenching the wind, cultivating land of heaven, touch the
I know.
and see.
Where is my mom?
I think she went home. We got neighbor kids hanging out with my daughter here. For those of you that might be watching it, just so you understand that. Where's my mom?
Nice.
We're not kidnapping people's moms or anything. We're
Oh my God.
Okay. So yeah, just to kind of give a little background on the group, and we've got 2 repeat customers here. I've been a student of Sufism for well over 10 years. Hazrat Inayat Khan has been a very big influence to me. When I first read the mysticism of sound and music, it really made just a huge impact on my life and how I looked at music and viewed music. And tonight's topic is something really that just is everything that I stand for and everything that I'm about. So it's something that it kind of rolled out of me really easy. But it's basically about when the artist loses himself in the art then comes to life. So when you really lose yourself in your art, you become lost in it, and let the art kind of overcome you and take you and carry you away. What it really brings and does. So yeah, we're going to get into that. I just wanted to start off. We're trying to do these more proper. Sufi way, really, you start off with the invocation and you end with the Khatum. And I always get about halfway through my class, and I'm like, oh, let me do the invocation. So we're going to do the invocation. We're going to do it right this time. So just starting real quick with the Sufi invocation. For the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit guides. Hold that thought. You find your mom?
Huh?
Find your mom? Got a cookie? All right. It's a worthwhile trip. All right.
Are we supposed to all say that with you?
You can if you like. I don't know. Sorry. So yeah, this comes from the bowl of sake, and bowl of sake is basically it's just almost a 1 or 2 sentence saying that Inayat Khan would put out every single day. So this was something that was a daily meditative thought, and he released it in a book form, or it was released in book form down the road. And this is for December 11th, and yeah, this has been my little signature on my email for probably the last almost 10 years. But yeah, when the artist loses himself in his art, then the art comes to life. And here's a little bit of commentary from Inayat Khan about that. One must not only be an artist, one must become art itself. Then to the one who is so absorbed in his work that he forgets himself, that capacity, that intuition, that skill will come naturally. He begins to do wonders, and his art becomes a perfect expression of what he had in mind. People think that it is the artist who has made it. In reality, it is God who has perfected it. As it is God's pleasure to create the world, so it is also God's pleasure to create through pen and brush and chisel, to give life to what is lifeless. The artist who has arrived at some perfection in his art, whatever his art may be, will come to realize that it is not he who ever achieved anything. It is someone else who has come forward every time. And when the artist produces a perfect thing, he finds it difficult to imagine that it has been produced by him. He can do nothing but bow his head in humility before the unseen power and wisdom which takes his body, his heart, his brain, his eyes as its instrument. Whenever beauty is produced in art, be it music or poetry or painting or writing or anything else, one must never think that man produced it. It is through man that God completes his creation. Thus, there is nothing that is done in this world or in heaven that is not divine eminence. What is not divine creation? What is art? Art is the creation of beauty in whatever form it is created. As long as an artist thinks that whatever he creates in the form of art is his own creation, as long as he is vain about creation, he has not learned true art. True art can only come from one condition, and that is that the artist forgets himself. He forgets himself in the vision of beauty. We are instruments that respond. If we respond to goodness, goodness becomes our property. If we respond to evil, then evil becomes our property. If we respond to love, then love becomes our possession. To me, I think sums up my life's purpose and my work more than anything. I mean, to me, this is what I feel called to express is that I want to lose myself in my art, in my music, in my expression, in my speech, in my action, in a way that completely annihilates me, takes me out of the equation, and brings that higher essence through. And when I think of really expressive music and music that really touches you on a soul level, it has that just undeniable, passionate expression that comes from the soul. You can feel the soul coming through the art. And it's the same with painting. It's the same with poetry. It's the same with any form of art. And I don't limit this to music or art. I limit it or anything. I think any form of expression, just speaking, just your body language, the activity that we have every day with people that we come in contact with, the way that we present ourselves, all of that is an expression that is either an expression of the limited viewpoint that we come from, or that more divine expression. And yeah, that's just become such a huge thing for me, is to step out of the way and let that bigger artist just play me like an instrument. And that's difficult to do. I mean, there's a lot of ego involved. There's a lot of, you know, well, I think it should be this way, and I learned it this way. This is the way it should be done. You know, why am I doing it this way? So there's a lot of that when it comes to art, and we all kind of treat our art or our music as, you know, our own children. Like, you know, my song is like a child to me. It's something that I created and gave birth to and life to and breathed my essence into, and sometimes it's hard to let that go. You know, in the same manner that, you know, we have a saying in Sufism that the only thing that's really yours is whatever you can't lose in a shipwreck. And in a shipwreck, I mean, you can lose everything, even your life, you know. But you don't lose the soul. The soul is just, basically, that's the only thing that's left. And so, kind of looking at it from that perspective, I really resonate a lot with what's said here. And there's just a few different highlights to the commentary that Inayat Khan said here, and we'll just kind of go through a few of those. And if anything strikes anybody, or, you know, anything you want to comment on, please feel free to jump in there. So this is another one that he spoke about the same topic. Art is a domain in which inspiration manifests with great facility. In order to become spiritual, to attain inspiration, it is not necessary that a man should be very religious or especially good. What is necessary is love of beauty. What is art? Art is the creation of beauty, in whatever form it is created. As long as an artist thinks that whatever he creates in the form of art is his own creation, as long as he is vain about his creation, he has not yet learned true art. True art can only come in one condition, and that is that the artist forgets himself, and he forgets himself in the vision of beauty. There is one condition through which his art can be still more valuable, and that is when the artist begins to recognize the divine in his art. As long as the artist has not realized this, he has not touched the perfection of art. In reality, art is nature re-expressed, perfecting the beauty that is already there. That line really gets me every time. As long as the artist has not realized this, he has not touched the perfection of art. In reality, art is nature re-expressed, perfecting the beauty that is already there. And I think that is really just, whenever there's a true inspiring piece of art, it's really, someone has caught the essence of the beauty that's there in a way that is just, you feel it, you experience it through that art. And that, to me, is just, that's what it's all about. I think if you can, in some way, create something or do something that has that kind of inspiration and that kind of breath of the divine in it, that's just incredible. He goes on to say, the artist, in the true sense of the word, is the king of a kingdom that is even greater than the kingdoms of the earth. There is a story told in the East of Farabi, the great singer, who was invited to the court of Emir of Bukhara. The Emir welcomed him very warmly at the court, and as the singer entered, the Emir went to the door and received him. On coming into the throne room, the Emir asked him to take a seat. "But where shall I sit?" asked the singer. "Sit," said the Emir, "in any place that may seem fitting to you." Well, on hearing this, Farabi took the seat of the king. No doubt this astonished the Emir very much, but after hearing the singer's art, he felt that even his own seat was not fitting, for he understood that his kingdom had a certain limitation, whereas the kingdom of the artist is wherever beauty prevails. As beauty is everywhere, so the kingdom of the artist is everywhere. That's so like a singer too, to walk into a court and take the king seat.
Right.
Not the drummer, you know, but the singer, for sure.
Drummer's
Maybe
outside.
the guitar player.
You gotta look for the drummer, you're not sure where he's at.
But yeah, I mean, I like that line that he says, where he understood that his kingdom had a certain limitation, whereas the kingdom of the artist is wherever beauty prevails. The kingdom of the artist is wherever the beauty prevails. Then he goes on to say, we are vehicles or instruments that respond. If we respond to goodness, goodness becomes our property. If we respond to evil, the evil becomes our property. If we respond to love, then love becomes our possession. If we respond to hatred, hatred becomes our life. And if we respond to the things of the earth so much that our whole life becomes absorbed in worldly things, then it is quite natural that we should not respond to those riches which are within us, and yet so far removed from us. Intuition is not something that a person can learn by reading books, nor is it a thing that one can buy and sell. Intuition is the very self and the deepest self of man, and it can be realized by that soberness which is so very desirable in life. Absence of intuition means absence of soberness. So I kind of take soberness here to mean awareness, and to really have that consciousness and that awareness that you can respond and be an instrument and be used in that way. And I think such a perfect analogy for coming from a rock musician standpoint, because I know myself, I can say that I was in a drunken stupor for a long time. And it wasn't even so much alcohol drinking, it was being in this mindset that I have to be this or I have to be that, I have to be this to be a rock star, I have to look like this, I have to have this image, this perception of me. And that's a drunkenness. That's, being lost in this mentality that's just totally not where reality sits. So being able to absence of intuition means absence of soberness. That really says something to me in that respect. He goes on to say, in all art there are 3 stages, and especially in sculpture. The first stage is conception, the second stage is composition, and the third stage is production. If the artist is not capable of conceiving an idea, he can't go any further. He may try hundreds of times, but he will not arrive at the desired result. The outer world may help him to bring about such a conception, but it must actually spring from within. It depends upon the stage of the artist's evolution. According to his evolution, he is able to catch, to sense, the rising stream of inspiration which comes from within. So yeah, that idea of 3 stages of art: conception, composition, and production. So having an idea and putting that idea into a concept that you can actually produce, and then producing.
Where is it living?
Absolutely. Thank you. And then talking more about those 3 stages, he goes on to say, which is the most difficult stage? This cannot be determined, for one artist has talent, but is without intuition. Another artist can compose in his mind, and yet is without skill in producing. And there is yet another who has intuition, but is lacking in composition and production. In order to combine these 3 faculties, one must not only be an artist, one must become art itself. Then, to the one who is absorbed in his work, then he forgets himself. That capacity, that intuition, that skill will come naturally. He begins to do wonders, and his art becomes a perfection expression of what he had in mind. And that's something I can really relate to myself, is because you end up, when you have such a passion for creating art, at some point it becomes your own to where almost, I don't want to say you don't want to give it to anybody else, you don't want to share it with anybody else, but you become the songwriter, the composer, the artist, the person that records it, the producer, because it's such a part of you, and you want to give it such a. For me, it's not even so much that the song is so much a part of me that I want to hold this ownership of it. It's that I want to make sure that it maintains the intention that I want to put out. And if it doesn't do that because of somebody else's outside influence, then that's when I got to take control of it. And I don't like being that. It's hard, especially in a band, and I'm in a band with a really incredible drummer who I think is an amazing guy. And he's been very, very patient, very understanding with me about my spiritual convictions, because we play in this rock band, and he's a drum tech for Korn, so he's out there in the mix of, like, he's in big tours, he's living it, and we're trying to get there as a band, and I'm saying, well, it's got to be like this, it's got to be like that. When he's at a level where he doesn't have to take any crap from me, but I appreciate that he's really open to what I'm about as far as the idea of what I want to be. The current band that I'm in is called Kurai, and Kurai is a Japanese word that I found in a martial arts dictionary probably 20 years ago, and it means to achieve a state of mind in which you become one with your heart. And I just thought that was so perfect for where I was at that point. I was studying martial arts. I was into Bruce Lee. He was taking little bits and pieces from all these different arts and creating his own art from it. And that just inspired me, and it made me want to just, really take that and learn from it and apply that to music. And then I came up with this name, and my band switched to, from Theater of Madness to Kurai. And it was like, wow, this is really, I can see the potential in this, and I wanted to ride that wave. But I was still trying to be a rock star, and I was still doing all these ego-driven things. Eventually, I learned, and Kurai broke up, and years later, I really wanted to start something new with the same intent, and the same idea. And Abel was really open to using the name and to kind of continuing on in that vein and that kind of thing. So we're trying to do that kind of thing in the rock vein. But yeah, it really.
Is it really your song if you're just a vessel? And then when that inspiration comes to you and it goes to another person, isn't it a ripple effect that they receive that God's gift in their way?
I agree, and I think that's really the message here, is that that it's not really art unless you really just step aside and don't claim it as your own. And I think that's it's a skill, but it's a challenge, at the same time. Oh yeah.
Well, I really, this is really speaking to me. It's awesome because, for 12 years it was music for me. It was songs, it was singing, it was creating, using my body, where, my voice and that kind of thing. But now it's my art is a book, and I'm focused on that. And that was easy. Just singing, I became this vessel, and I just let my soul fall out of my mouth within my song. And but this is a little hard. The book is in my head, and it's like it's what I lived. So I don't have to, I'm not having a problem with the inspiration. I'm not having a problem with doing it. I love writing. I've been writing since I was 5, but it's surrender. I'm surrendering. I'm coming to a point where it's I can't figure out where it's supposed to go, how it's supposed to look. I'm just going to let it open up and just come out of me. Or with the music, sometimes I would get caught up in the lyrics, because I love writing lyrics. And there was this one song where I was kind of under a gun to finish lyrics, because we wanted to start using it. We had a big show coming up. That was our baby, right? Yeah. And so I wrote these lyrics really quick because I had to, and I was just And then all of a sudden I was thinking about the song, I was driving through the redwoods and I parked and I went into like the base of this like redwood tree. And they're pretty cool because like if they get struck by lightning, they have these things and they kind of become like teepees where you can literally
Kind of walk in, yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
yeah. So I was there and I had my little had my journal, and all of a sudden just that tree's energy came through me and I just started just throwing up all these lyrics, and like that was when like the song was born.
Yeah.
And it was because I released it and I wanted to make the song about this, but the song was so much bigger, you know. So yeah, I'm hoping that this happens with the book.
You know, before I started Caravan, when we were actually Theater of Madness still, I broke my foot. I worked for Pepsi, and I was pulling this big pallet of soda and somebody in the front door of Walmart, and somebody stopped in front of me to like yell at their child or something, and I stopped and not run them both over, you know, and I ended up running over my foot, and it broke the side of my foot, and so I was off for several months, and I sat and played guitar a lot, really wood-headed, and one day in particular, I sat down and I wrote this song, and I didn't really know. I knew that it had something to do with some of the stuff that I was reading, like, but it was way beyond what I was like. There was more. It was like telling the story of what I was reading when I didn't even have the story finished yet, kind of thing. And so I wrote this song, and then I wrote another song a few months later, and then a bandmate of mine suggested putting the two together. And when I put the two together, it was like putting two pieces of a puzzle together in a way that it completed something that was missing by the two being apart. And when I put the two together, it was this prophetic 14-minute piece of music that I had no idea where it came from. And I said, how did I write this? Who wrote this?
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, you wrote this. And I'm like, no, I don't know. This is beyond me. And it didn't really make sense to me what that song meant until probably 15, 20 years later. And I just went through this awakening and this opening of my spirit and my life, and just this complete, you know, in the song I say, you know, something about standing on the shores of the beach of time. And I found myself in that place, in that timeless, you know, place where I'm on this beach, and you know the waves crash, they come in, they come out, but it's just this endless ebb and flow of continuation, you know. And I saw it as that, and it just, man, I was just, what? Where did this come from? And then it was like, that's what I need to do. I want to be that as much as I can, and it's hard to not create art and put your head in it. You know, and all the songs that I write are very personal. They're very much stories of things that I went through. But I try to reach beyond myself to bring forth, I don't know how the way to say it, but like one of the things that's really great about Sufism that I love, and Inayat Khan does it so amazingly, is having an answer that uproots the question. And like I try to do that with music too. You know, and so this was one case in point. He was giving a lecture in France. I mean, this was 100 years ago. And a guy came up to him and he shows him this whole document. You know, I want to talk to you about the state of the world. He said, okay, let's talk about the state of the world. So the guy pulls out this economic chart, says, you know, if we could just get everybody on the same economic thing, everybody has $20,000 a year income, everybody's on this, we have ration on this, we do it this way, and he had this whole pie chart and everything. He said, we just do it like this, and this will save it, this will fix everything. And Inayat Khan looks at it and says, well, that's interesting. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go over to the piano and we tune every note to D. So we have D, E, F, G, but they're all D. And then we plunk on all those notes, and let's see what the music sounds like then. And the guy just kind of looked at him and went, well, I don't quite understand what you're saying. He goes, well, you know, your idea is good, but you put everybody on the same economic structure. Everybody's in a different place. Everybody's in a different situation. They can't all, they're not conditioned to live on the same means when we've all come from different places. We all have our own note. There's all these different notes to strike. So when you tune everything to the same note and play it, how interesting is it then? And I just thought that was, wow.
Yeah.
The answer that uproots the question. It's like that guy probably just walked out and goes, well, I feel like
Mind
that.
blown.
And to me, that just, I'm just so into that idea, that concept of doing it. Just, yeah, just love it.
Sometimes you come up, person guided by the Spirit to say certain sentence or word, paragraph, and it shocks. It's right on. It's brand new. The tried and true scholars reject it. For some reason. It's not that they're angry or making progress together. Harmony. Artists and musicians. Avoid fighting.
Yeah.
Avoid one-upmanship.
Yeah.
Avoid showtime. Show and tell. Here's what I did last week. It was bad. My bad for my lifetime. Egocentric distractions. Who said today? God spoke to him. Don't waste time with distractions. That's what gets you. You're like watching TV.
Yeah.
You're playing solitaire with a deck of cards.
Sure.
Doodling on 12 different instruments. Playing a violin. Well, there's electric violin. Doing the thing. You go to the man and just tell it a word. And play itself.
Oh yeah.
The newest stuff would be a distraction.
Sure. I think we live in a world. I think it's a great point because I think we live in a world where our conveniences are a huge distraction. I mean, they make our lives richer in a lot of ways, but they really distract us from what's real.
I see it. Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
That could take up half a day.
Oh yeah.
All through the week.
Yep.
You're financially secure. Just play Mario games.
Yeah. Play Mario Brothers all day long. I know. It's just a different world. And we talked about this. My teacher gave a universal worship service last week, and we were talking about different things. And she's talking about her teacher, Pir Balayat, which was Hazrat Inayat Khan's son. And even in his era, they didn't have email. They didn't have like all these responsibilities of reaching out to all the people through all the means that there is to reach out now. And I think for my teacher, I think it's been kind of like a little overwhelming, and it's happened so fast that now she's kind of like, let's catch up and utilize some of the technology and some of the things that are out there. But yeah, it's just a whole different world from what I grew up in and things like that. But I still feel like the message is so relevant, and the things that are said are timeless, and that they're not. It's not a dogmatic religious push for this time. It's more of an idea of how to open yourself and flourish. And
I kept with it. So it can be observed by an onlooker. Guessing. That's from 1890, from marching down Main Street in any town in US. It's an old piece of equipment. Maybe so. It's like a French horn. It's like a trombone. But it's good sound. so different. That's my trump card.
That's right. I think that's the beauty too, is that, you know, we each have our own unique note within the symphony of life, and it's finding that note and striking that note often. I think that really makes life grand. And when, you know, you respect someone else's place in the symphony of life, it just, you know, maybe their note sounds a little off to you, but at the same time they have their place, and finding that understanding just really. There's a couple more little tidbits here, not too much more to go. He goes on to kind of talk about that last idea. Besides, the direction of art today is not of the same nature as in ancient times. We were just talking about it. So I'll start there. Besides, the direction of art today is not of the same nature as in ancient times. The direction of ancient art was towards spiritual realization. Love, harmony, and beauty were seen by the artist in their highest aspects. And when the artist loses that direction, then he comes down to earth. Instead of going upward, he is going downward. Everything we just said.
And confirm ancient evolution through spiritual experiences,
Yes.
domination by God.
Divine inspiration comes.
Sampling is really nothing. You know, I'm just thinking of sample. You know how people sample?
Yeah, yeah.
And this just suddenly seems so wrong to me right now.
Yeah.
Because it is not an inspiration, it's taking another's inspiration. But maybe not, because like I said, it comes to the vessel and maybe it inspires them.
Yeah. I know that's what my wife does for a living. She does sample claims for music publishing. So, yeah, but it is interesting, because I think that you can take what's inspired you and turn it into something of your own, but then it's turning it into your own really divine inspiration, the same kind of thing. But I think you can. I think you can take something and you can put a change or a spin on it. It's kind of like when somebody covers a song from, you know,
So what could affect
the 60s or 70s, and they do it now with a little modern spin on it. It reintroduces that idea and that song and that energy to a new audience in a different way, and maybe revives it to where the old one comes back and people go, oh, I never even knew of, you know, like Jeff Buckley did Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah song. I mean, that just, his version is 10 times more popular than Leonard Cohen's, but then when you go back and hear Leonard Cohen's, you're like, this is poetry at its finest. So that kind of interplay of, I think that has to do with divine timing too, is that, you know, that song reaches out to a person at the right time, which is really interesting, because I'm going to spin off a little bit. My teacher did a class the other day on Ibn Arabi, and another really great Sufi mystic, and that was one of the things that we talked about with Ibn Arabi. I just lost my thought. I do that often.
You surrendered.
Yeah.
You're out there.
I'm out there. I'm trying to grasp, and now I'm way out there. Yeah.
You lost his space.
I know.
It's nice being lost.
It sometimes it is. It's a little embarrassing when you're trying to bring a point to the table. What was that point that about the Ibn Arabi? Let's see. And we were talking about modern art and modern, the divine timing, and that was what it was. It was divine timing, and it was how things come through. Oh, yes. we were talking about gifts. We were talking about the prophet Seth. And Seth spoke about receiving gifts. And then we got into a really deep discussion about how this, and this was really interesting. My teacher said this, and I wasn't sure how to take it at first. Say Mother Mary wasn't in the right frame of mind or the right receptivity to receive that divine gift of baby Jesus at that time. That gift is predetermined. So that divine gift, Jesus was meant to come to earth. He was a prophet. He was going to come. The timing was going to be at this time, and this is where we've decided to. So there's some predetermination there in that. And so as we were talking about that, she's saying how. So if Mary wasn't in the right frame of mind, if something had shifted and she wasn't in the right receptivity to receive that gift, the gift would have gone to someone else. Now imagine, I was just like, Mother Mary not being Jesus's mom, like how can you even conceive that? That's just the way the story goes. But think about that, like, and so I think about that now in terms of music, in terms of art, all of that. If you're supposed to be, Da Vinci gets this great inspiration to do these, the Sistine Chapel. I think it was Da Vinci that did the Sistine Chapel. Oh, Michelangelo, yeah. See, I know my art.
Doesn't matter.
It's all the same.
Yeah,
We're all
one.
one.
Yeah, it's all one artist. But yeah, that inspiration had to come to someone who is capable of reproducing it, for one. So there's the whole idea we talked about earlier, is the composition, the concept, the composition, and the production. One artist might not have had the capacity to produce the art like that, but could have been inspired to see the vision of it. And so they didn't receive that gift because they didn't have the full. So it just, man, when you think about all that and how being open and receptive in so many different ways to bring forth divine inspiration in a true and pure way. Yeah, it's just that really struck me.
I think Mother Mary is terrific. Since you're praying for Mary, on the mosquito-ridden night, that's how I sing this. I think we try to make Mary more buckets to carry water, more wheelbarrows, more truck rentals. She carries a lot.
Yeah.
Think about it. Sort of solid as female gods in part of creation. Just think about it. It's true love for the crusaders. He's linked to them. She's given a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Expect a lot. She's a 14-year-old girl, pure heart. And animated of the Lord. Going for God. It struck me how much church, the world puts on her.
Yeah, lots projected on
She
it.
can do a lot. She can function as an interceder, helping. But there's others too. Very, very good. There's Martha, Rebecca. A lot of people lead the church. Doesn't have to be Mother Earth.
Well, yeah, no, there's the divine feminine is definitely coming in. Definitely. All of her and the one of her.
I think it's wonderful.
I do.
Male
Definitely.
dominating,
Yeah.
insecure male has to pound the ground with his butt end of his
Hammer.
Mhm.
forehead.
Yeah. No, I think the world needs a lot more feminine energy. Well, I have one last quote here to kind of end us out on, and then we'll do a short little meditation into a little bit of about raga. Get into a little Indian raga. So yeah, this is kind of the final thought of the night in this this concept here. The motive behind the whole of creation is to put life into everything. That is its sole objective. I'm going to read that one more time. The motive behind the whole of creation is to put life into everything. That is its sole objective. So looking at that from the aspect of art, the motive behind the whole of creation is to put life into everything. So if the motive of creation or the act of creating the motive behind that is to put life into it, what more life can you put in than that divine spark of life that we are? So yeah, the whole idea of when the artist loses himself in the art, then the art comes to life. That the whole concept to me really just moved through me and past me in a major way.
And we are all art too. We're all creations. Yeah. And the more you just kind of see the art, it's like seeing the God within everybody, seeing the heart within everybody. The better life is for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I had kind of a little bit of a meditation here. There's a long version here of this called Healing with Sound. And this is a little bit of what Inayat Khan taught. I'm just going to give a few little segments of what he talked about here. And then we're just going to do one little section of it just to kind of set the tone for the raga that we're going to go into. Yeah, I'll read this a little bit here. All the tragedy in the world, in the individual, and in the multitude comes from lack of harmony. And harmony is best given by producing harmony in one's own life. We become harmonious by becoming balanced and establishing a rhythm in our daily lives. The whole of life is as music, and in order to study life, we must study it as music. It is not only study, it is also practice which makes man perfect. If someone tells me that a certain person is miserable or wretched or distressed, my answer will always be that he is out of tune. Healing with sound goes back for millennia, and Pythagoras is credited by being the father of sound healing. He discovered a balance in music which comes to us as the perfect fifth. It is notes C and G. If we translate the notes into elements, C is earth and G is ether. So when we change the vibration of a person, we are aiming towards bringing them into the balance of the perfect fifth. The balance of earth and heaven in harmony within themselves and the world, and in tune with the symphony of the spheres. So let's see.
That's beautiful.
And he goes, Murshid means teacher. So Inayat Khan was often referred to as Murshid. Murshid used the language of music to describe illness. He teaches that all life is vibration, and that it is vibration that manifests first as breath, then becomes audible as sound, and then manifests as light. when we do practices and use sound as a means of healing, we are changing the vibration of that person. We are bringing them into the vibration of health from one of illness. We are creating a new balance and rhythm to create a new harmony. Let's see. They're having fun. That's good.
Lots of harmony happening
Yeah,
there.
lots of harmony. The sound ah is in the heart. The sound oo is in the third eye, and the sound m is in the crown. E is in the solar plexus. And after doing this for a couple minutes, you become present again to see the shift in your various bodies and sensations and things. So what I thought we would do is just kind of, we work with the heart mostly in Sufism, so I think that we're just going to work on the ah for just a few minutes. And basically I'll get out the F hole, kind of helps facilitate that. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of work with the sound and just kind of chant ah for a few moments, and then we'll go into a little bit about Indian rock. Yeah, you're out of key. So what I, with this little paper here, one of the main sound meditations that Inayat Khan did was called the zikr, and the zikr is a phrase that's used over a certain. Well, it can be done as a phrase by itself. It can be done in just a rhythmic, monotone way. It can be done in a very musical way. And the way Inayat Khan did it is he did it with the rag Bhairavi from the Indian scales. And very much like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Same kind of idea. Except they have sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So different phonetic words. These are Sanskrit terms, and he used a particular melody based off of that Bhairavi scale. Now, with regards to Indian music, Indian scales and ragas are all I believe there's about 72 different Indian ragas. And they're all made for different times of day. So there's maybe 5 or 6 different ones that would fit into a certain category of time throughout the day, and every 3 hours there'd be a different raga for that time of day. And it's all basically to tune you to the frequencies of the universe at that time of the day. And so I've taken a few Drupad lessons, a few lessons in Indian classical music. I'm by no means a scholar in it. Raga is something that you really need to learn with a master. You really need to I mean, you can study the scales and learn them just like you can, you know, get tablature and learn guitar that way and not really read the notes. You can and still play guitar. It's the same kind of thing, but to really have the feeling and the understanding of how the interlay of all the notes works. We have these different scales. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You know, it's very incremental in steps. Well, within Indian music, each of the notes has a lot of sub-frequencies and little harmonics within them that are all still that note. So, for instance, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So that's the basic scale. Sa, re, ga, ma, ga, re, sa, mi, sa. So that's what I have written next. Now, I wrote sa, ni, sa, and you'll see that ni is kind of lowercase. I did that because that's the note that sa kind of dips down to. And it almost hits ni, but it stays at sa. So, sa, re, ga, ma, ga, re, sa. So, sa, that's ni. So it's at the bottom of that sa, it's hitting that same note that would be ni. Sa, ni, sa. But it's correct in Indian, so you get sa, sa. So you have all those different variations from the bottom of the note before it to the top of the note above it. All of those are part of the note. So that's where a lot of the real spiritual transmission would happen, is in these little, you know, runs and things that you hear these great quality singers. You know, it's all those little nuances and those little sub harmonics in between the notes that really just bring out the beauty. So yeah, the phrase that was used was La ilaha illallah, which means there is no God but God. I have difficulty doing that right now as a zikr practice at every one of these meetings. Not because I have a problem doing it, I have no problem doing it. If this was a Sufi group and it was all Sufis that were here, I'd have no problem doing that. And everyone would understand the meaning. The reason I bring that up is because ISIS uses that on their flag now. It says La ilaha illallah. And they're completely askew mentally as to what the true beauty of Islam is. And so it's hard for me to teach a class and to, you know, bring people in and say, hey, sing this, you know. So I want to work with the melody more than the lyrics at this point, just to kind of really get the same vibe of the melody, and to learn a little bit about Indian raga, because to me that's something I'm diving into now too. So sa, re, ga, ma, ga, re, sa, ni, sa. And then, so the whole, basically, the way the melody would go would be La ilaha illallah. And then it'd be La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. So that's the melody with the lyrics. Now, to do it in a more scalular way, Sa re ga ma ga re sa mi sa. And then I have this handy little
Nice.
tablet around here. So this is in the key of A. Sa. It's basically sa re ga ma ga re sa mi sa. So there's a couple things we have going on here. That, oh yes, I can't sit down. So this is also in a tabla rhythm called Team Tal. Team Tal is most commonly used in Indian music for ragas and scales and things like that. So Team Tal is 16 beats. So it's very much like a 4/4, but it's 16 beats is what they count. So the way that I have this set up, here comes the one. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Ba na da ba ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa mi sa. That's really how the whole thing would go in a flow. We can kind of break it down a little bit.
Very
Yeah, it sounds to me like a
Halloween.
minor pentatonic. Yeah, like Halloween.
With a pyramid.
Yeah. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa.
Yes.
Yeah. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Ba ma da pa ga re sa ni sa.
Sing that. Sing.
Ba ma da pa ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Ba ma da pa ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Yeah, and then you can really bend off of each. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa.
Prayer time.
Sa re ga ma
re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma ga re sa ni sa. Ma da ba ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma re sa ni sa. Ba ma da ba ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma re sa ni sa. Ma da ba ga re sa ni sa. As soon as I said that. Sa re ga ma ga re
Protect the
re sa ni sa. Ma da ma ga re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma re sa ni sa. Sa re ga ma
Nice.
That was rad.
So that's
Like it's right in India.
Yeah.
It's good.
that's the Rock by Ravi.
I love that. It's really cool.
The first your founder, Sufis, wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Neat. Has he got a CD out?
There are actually, there's not a CD, but there's about 6 or 7 recordings of him. And these are over 100 years old, the recordings, but they are, available on, I think on SoundCloud online.
Maybe inspiration.
Yeah,
The guy's so holy.
I know.
Comes from another planet, another dimension,
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
place.
Let's see if I can find this.
Different pictures of it.
Is this a flute? What is this do?
That's, it's called a gyro,
Yeah.
and you roll this little thing across it. Oh, There you go.
Don't trip over your heart, Sandra.
Real smart.
You know, paint.
Oh, nice.
That's it.
Oh, is it a flute?
Yeah, is that good? Yeah. I can find it back here. Actually.
Grass players, YouTube videos.
Thanks for joining.